Hey, what is going on, Los Angeles? Welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB network. Even more so than usual, very happy all of you are here with us. What a week it has been here in the Southland for hundreds of thousands of people. We'll talk all about it because it directly relates to us. And obviously, this is a Rams show, but it affected the Rams, and it still is affecting the Rams. And this game, this playoff game that we're going to preview between the Rams and Vikings. And so it all ties in. And man, it's crazy. We'll get into it, but I think there's been some positive come out of it that we'll talk about. I mean, not that you ever want a tragedy like this happen. Obviously, those that for some reason maybe you just don't live in LA, but we're referring to these wildfires going on here in the Pasadena, Altadena area, in the Pacific Palisade area. I mean, there's fires all over Malibu, Hollywood, and we're still out of the woods yet. But anyway, we are so happy that all of you are here with us. Hope everyone is safe and with loved ones, and just grateful for all that you have. So we're thrilled that you guys are here. But Skinny, thrilled that you're here. Thrilled that you're good. We both live close. For those that listen to the show often, kind of know where we reside. I am in Pasadena. You are in Highland Park. So we are very close to everything that's been going on here in the Eaton Canyon and the Altadena fire. So how are you, man? I mean, obviously you're here. You're at home. I'm at my house now after being away for a few days. But how are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I am so grateful that I am not evacuated from my home. I have several friends that have migrated to to other places. A couple people in Newport Beach now. I lost power for a few hours, mostly overnight hours, from the wind, not even from the fire. But yeah, I mean, all things considered, I'm so happy that you're safe and I'm safe, and all of our friends and family are safe. Now, you have a friend who lost a house, and I did too. In Altadena, my friends Mike and Wendy, their house burnt down. Now, not too far from you, there was a block where several houses burned down, but my other friends, Will and Michelle, their house somehow escaped it. So they're right over by Pasadena High School, so it's kind of right in the epicenter there. But yeah, it's just really incredible.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week, and so happy you guys are good. And you had other stuff going on in terms of health and that, which went well, so glad to hear that. But yeah, we evacuated on Tuesday when everything started happening, and went to my sister-in-law's over in Covina. Not sure what we'd come home to, and our house we were basically, for those, well, not that anyone really knows exactly where I live, but we were in between both the Altadena fire and the Eaton fire. So there was like the two, and we were kind of in between them both, just south enough where we were okay. We evacuated Tuesday night and then came back. What is today? Friday. So we came back Thursday. Still very smoky. Luckily we had neighbors with some extra air purifiers. We were able to kind of blast in the house and get that going. But yeah, man, I'll share this actually. Our friends, and you mentioned your friends, our good friends. She was in our wedding. The wife.
We hung out on New Year's Eve together. All me, myself, and my partner, and you and Monica, and those two all hung out just a few days ago, and they're the sweetest people.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. And this is their house was their house up in Altadena. I mean, this is like one of those images that's just like, I mean, you see the sun, it's so eerie. And we were, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that you talk to someone and it just happens like this. I'm sure everyone listening to the show knows someone probably that lost, whether it was in this Altadena area, Pasadena area, or in the Palisades area or somewhere. And, they didn't leave, Skinny. So we left on Tuesday at like 10 o'clock. We were like, you know what, let's just go. It's not worth it. You've been to our apartment, like it's an old craftsman house. So the windows just like shake uncontrollably. So with these winds, it was like, we're not going to sleep anyway. Mia's freaking out. Like, let's just go pack up a bag and go. They stayed till 3:30. And at 3:30, we're like, all right, the smoke's getting intense. We need to get out of here. And by 8 o'clock, everything was gone. So, I mean, I'm thanking God that they just like got out of there. They could have been actually in a situation where they couldn't escape. So the fact that they got out is like a miracle, because I mean, that it happened so fast. And yeah, lost everything. One
Yeah.
day, one day you have a home, and they have a little 7-month-old baby, beautiful baby girl.
Yeah.
One day you have that, and the next you have absolutely nothing. It's
Well,
crazy.
just to give the listeners and watchers a sense, you're just a few miles from the evacuation. You were never ordered to evacuate or suggested even to evacuate.
We were suggested. We were in the
That's right.
warning zone.
Right.
It was like tier 3 is like go, tier 2 is warnings. We were in tier 2.
Yeah.
But we were only 3. We live 3 miles from them, so 3 miles away from them. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And then I'm a little bit further out. I'm about 10 miles from them. So yeah. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this, but I watched Notre Dame win last night, and
look at you
football.
decked out.
Yeah, I had to do it for the show.
Yeah,
little celebration. I wasn't, but football, man, I wasn't sure. I didn't know if I wanted to. I didn't know if I wanted to take my mind off it, but it was a nice cure. It cheered me up for a little while. It took my mind off things for sure.
It's the true reason for sports. I mean, obviously competition and this and that, but as a fan, sports about community and bringing communities together and escape from the real world. Those 3-4 hours on whatever day. I mean, right now as we're recording, we got another playoff game going on with Texas and Ohio State, and then obviously the NFL playoffs start tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, that's what sports are about. Whether you're in a stadium, in a bar, at home, it's about a community, and so it gives you that escape. And so luckily we have these games that can do that. And man, I mean, LA can do something special considering we have 2 teams in the playoffs. Obviously the Rams, who we're going to talk about, playing Monday against the Vikings, but the Chargers play tomorrow in Houston. And I'm telling you, Skinny, like before the year, even obviously for our network, the LAFB network, like we want an all LA Super Bowl if that can happen. But for some reason now with this tragedy, I'm just like, I'm penciling that in. It's going to be Rams Chargers in the Super Bowl now. Like it's just fate that can happen. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's gotta. We're LA strong now.
LA strong, baby. And Angelinos are tough, and we could use that win. And last thing before we move on, I'll have some links below. So my friends, and obviously if your friends are doing things, Skinny, will add them as well. But they have a GoFundMe just to kind of help, replenish. I mean, they literally left with the shirts on their back, so they don't even have another pair of shoes, all the diapers for their baby. We've given a bunch of stuff, but I mean, babies need a lot of things. So I don't know, no one feel obligated, but I will include the GoFundMe link if anyone would be willing to. That certainly helps. Or I know people out there's tons of shelters. We were just at the corner where we live, like they set up a donation area, and it's awesome to see. Like, I mean, the way that you never want tragedies to happen, but I think it shows the positives of mankind. A lot of times you see all the people donating and helping, and our good friend Brittany Betts and Deontay McReynolds crushing it. I mean, they're 16 hours a day right now driving, donating eggs, diapers, anything you can think of, bras. Yeah. I mean, they've been going night and day all over and passing in at the Civic Center, anywhere. So Brittany and Deontay McReynolds, they're awesome. Many of you probably know her as Brittany Betts on Twitter. They've just been a rock star. So plenty of ways to help out. If you want to help just someone specifically, I will drop that link. Also, and this is not anything to benefit us, so I don't want anyone thinking we're trying to get a benefit out of a tragedy, but we made these collaboration shirts since LAFB is so close to LAFD, LA Fire Department, and so we kind of made this little logo with the two. I'll have the link to buy this also in the description. It's also up on our website. All proceeds we're going to donate to the LA and the Pasadena Fire Department. So, if you want to get something out of it too, not just donate, you can get a cool shirt, hopefully rep, and show off, and we'll donate all those proceeds to the LA and the Pasadena Fire Department. I think it looks kind of cool, and
it's super cool.
Can help out.
I'm going to grab one of those at full price. I'm going to pay full price so we get all the
employee discount.
No, but yeah, shout out to the fire departments. I'm a data guy. I like looking at all the data. I like looking at, containment and the acreage and all of that stuff to see how things are progressing positively or negatively. And things are going in a really good direction right now. They've really isolated, at least the Eaton fire, to the unpopulated areas.
Yeah.
Up north in the hills there, and then also similarly with the Palisades, not out of the woods at all on either of those. But man, what a job those guys are doing out there. I can't even imagine the tirelessness. I was coming home late from something I had to take care of yesterday, and I drove past one, and there was just an exhausted couple of firefighters in their fire truck driving next to me, and I gave him a thumbs up out the window. I mean, I couldn't do anything else really, but man, you got to give it up for those guys. I mean, it's, you hear this in all sorts of different natural disasters, and man, I have a whole different appreciation when it's at the back door.
Yeah, exactly. All the firefighters, all the first responders, all the police officers. Nothing but love, the true heroes out there, all those people, men and women that are, running in when everyone's running out and saving as much as they can and in this tough time. And like you said, we're still out of the woods. There's now talk that it might get windy again tomorrow. Let's pray it doesn't. But for the time being, they've been, at least in our area, they've definitely been able to push them up. I mean, just yesterday, our air quality was like 277. For those that don't know, like 100 and below is considered healthy. Like 277 is like brutal. As of now, it's like 109, I think. So it's been in just 24 hours, an amazing effort. Obviously gotten some luck with the wind today, so hopefully that continues. But yeah, huge shout out. So if anyone's interested in this shirt, all proceeds will go to the LA and Pasadena fire department. So certainly would love to be able to help out and donate there. So, but with that, I mean, these fires have caused a ripple effect with the game we're going to talk about. Rams Vikings was supposed to be at SoFi on Monday. Because of the Monday time, we thought like, okay, well, maybe that'll be enough time that everything will go on without any issue. Now, I was on a radio show on Wednesday, I think. One of these days, it was an Oregon radio show, and they were asking about it, and I was telling them, like, where SoFi is not at risk of the fires, like, unless something catastrophic happens. Like, there's no risk of the fires, but the air quality is the real issue, because obviously you're not going to put these players and coaches, but also just 80,000 fans when it's unbreathable air quality. So it looked like things were going, and then just yesterday, more fires popping up. I mean, I'm sure you saw that photo, Skinny, like at their facility in Woodland Hills, like the West Hills fire just started out of nowhere. So that was enough for the NFL to call it, and contingency plan was in place. The game will be played in Glendale, Arizona at the Arizona Cardinals stadium down there, State Farm, a beautiful stadium down in Glendale. We were out there for the Super Bowl just 2 years ago. And the Cardinals class organization doing a lot to help out the Rams and the Rams fans. But I guess just, I've probably been talking a lot more than you. So just your thoughts on, obviously this was the right decision, but your thoughts on the move and kind of what it means for this game.
Yeah, Kevin Demoff, I wanted to add his thoughts that I saw on Twitter, which was not only the air quality issues for the fans and the players, but also anytime there's a public sporting event, first responders have to be there legally to make sure, crowd control, security, in case anything, any emergency things happen. They didn't want to divert any of those resources anywhere else other than the fire.
Yeah.
So really responsible. Obviously, they're going to make the right decision, class organization that they are.
Yeah.
And then, 35,000 tickets sold to Rams fans so far. It's State Farm Stadium in Glendale. Sending buses out there. Kelly Stafford's hiring buses. They're going to load people up, and a bunch of people are going to go out there. And I've never made that drive, but that's right. A lot of fun.
I forgot you flew for the Super Bowl when we were there.
Yeah, that also involves Brittany McReynolds, who is famously late constantly.
Yeah, you were supposed to drive. That's right.
We were supposed to ride together, and she was, I don't know, several hours late to pick me up, and I was like, I'm buying a plane ticket.
You ended up flying and arrived because I drove. Me, my wife, and daughter drove, and I remember you text me like, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm getting a plane ticket, and you arrived. We were already at the Airbnb. It's only like a 45-hour flight. Yeah. So you arrived, Uber to the Airbnb, and they still hadn't left LA. I remember they were just leaving. Like, yeah, we're leaving now. They didn't get till what, like 4 a.m?
Yeah, I'm too old for that.
Yeah.
To quote Danny Glover. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see who has like a de facto home field advantage, kind of in this world of moving things to Arizona. It's really strange, you know. They're gonna paint the field the Rams colors. Lots of Minnesotans are in Arizona just for the winter time. Because they don't want to be in Minnesota in the wintertime. Yeah. Snowbirds, exactly. My grandparents used to do that and lived in Mesa, spent a lot of good time down there. So yeah, it's it's a road trip. It's, you know, I'm really curious about the atmosphere, what it's going to feel like. I think Rams fans are really going to this is going to resonate. This is going to mean something more and deeper because of the fires, because of the trip, because of everything that's behind it. That's going to give them a lot of motivation to really back those guys. And I'm curious. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. I think I saw somewhere, I can't remember the year, but I saw a stat that this is only the second NFL playoff game ever. It may have even been an NFL game. I think it was, I can't remember if it was a playoff game or just NFL game period that ever had to be moved locations. I need to find that and fact check it. But I saw that.
There was something, I think, somewhere in the Bay Area. Oh, it was during COVID that the 49ers had to play in Glendale as well, in Arizona, for a couple of weeks. But that's regular season. I don't know if that was playoffs.
Okay, so it must have been only playoff game, yeah, because it was like 2 games, and one was like, it was like 1935 was the other one or something. Or maybe not that long, but it was a long ass time ago. So maybe it was playoff game. Because the NFL, you know, whatever, people can criticize what they want. I think they're a pretty well-run business. But they're like, of all the sports leagues, they're like, the show goes on. Like, no matter what's going on in the world, the show goes on. Whether you agree with that or disagree with that, that's how it goes. And so I think this was a big move for them to make this decision. And it was the right decision. It sucks for LA. You know, it would have been great to be able to have this game here for healing for the city, but it's still LA's team playing. Arizona's only 5 hours away. I also heard, because there was talk maybe Vegas, or I thought maybe Vegas would be the spot. Obviously, that's the new hotbed for sports. And apparently there's like an exhibition game with Lionel Messi a few days later or something. So all the hotels are already pretty, but I don't know. That was one thing. I think actually Kevin Demoff said that or tweeted that out. So, yeah. So game Monday night, same time, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Monday, Rams Vikings in Phoenix. If obviously this game is only happening there because of the circumstances, but if the circumstances were not the case for just us particularly, I would love to charter an LAFB bus and road trip out there with a bunch of the Ramley. That'd be so much fun. It's only a 5-hour drive, so it's really not bad, but obviously a lot of things going on here on the home front.
It's only 5 hours to Phoenix from here?
Yeah, five or six, depending who's driving.
Okay.
Yeah, depending when you leave, like you're taking the 10 the whole way. So if you're cutting through LA, right, it can add to it. But if you leave it at the right time, like, yeah, it's only about five. It's only a little bit longer than going to, obviously different, but it's only a little longer than Vegas.
Yeah, I guess so. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess Nevada does that thing. It tapers down and Vegas is right in the crook there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. But obviously, there were players and coaches that had to evacuate. I think it was all the reporters that were at practice yesterday on Thursday saying, like, basically when practice wrapped, they did no player availability because everyone was just like sprinting off to go take care of their families as people were having to evacuate. People were on the phone figuring out next steps. So, it was, yeah, this happens all the time, Skinny, not all the time, but where we see these natural disasters happen during a sports season, in particular the NFL, just because that's who we cover most closely. Obviously, we know about hurricanes down in the Florida and the New Orleans area, and those teams have to divert New Orleans all the time. Seems like they're getting games moved or practices moved and having to go play in Baton Rouge or practice there. And obviously that's happened since Katrina, still because of hurricanes. Houston Texans, most recently with their big hurricane they had just a few years ago, Hurricane Howard, I want to say it was. And so this is nothing new, but this is the first that I can remember that's like us at home. like that's happened here, and it definitely hits. And not saying the other ones weren't meaningful and we didn't like take solace in those situations, but you don't know until you're in it. And like the fact that we were in it, like I evacuated, like I had to leave, didn't know if I was coming back to a home, and you know, it puts things into perspective. And I think this game though can have so much impact for people that lost a lot. And luckily, thank God, not a lot of human life has been lost. I believe I saw last, 10 casualties, which is 10 too many. But at least it's not like a crazy number. Obviously most of this has to do with, home and possession loss, but I think this game can be really meaningful. And I hope the Rams, which I think they will, you get this added motivation, and it's something to play for. Not that they, these are professionals, they have a lot to play for anyway, but when you have the backing of your city and that you're kind of that belief system for your city to rebound, like, I mean, think about it. After Katrina, the Saints went on and won the Super Bowl. Like, I mean, how poetic is that? After 9/11, the Yankees were one game away from winning the World Series. The Diamondbacks ended up winning that, but like the Yankees went on this run after 9/11, and it's just kind of like one of those things that it just gives you that added motivation. And so not to segue into something funny, but talking about motivation, we just found out today that Coach Sean McVay, who's usually not one for bulletin board material, or maybe just people don't report on it,
he took offense.
But it came out today. He has a screenshot posted in the locker room of when Dan Campbell told Kevin O'Connell, "See you in 2 weeks," alluding to that the Vikings will be getting past the Rams to play the Lions next. What do you think of that?
Yeah, if you're going to motivate people, that's bulletin board material is good, especially for this young squad, especially for the defense. I think they're going to take that real personally. They're kneecap biters themselves. So I think that, if you have a wily old vet there, I don't think Matthew Stafford's thinking anything about that. I don't think Cooper Kupp's really thinking about it. But, I think, you get some
Jared
of these.
Verse probably is.
What's that?
Jared Verse probably is. Yeah.
I think so. I think he has a chip on his shoulder. Braden Fisk too, I think. So,
yeah.
And it goes back to, it's the other side of the coin of what you were just talking about. It can help focus, and similarly to what I was talking about with watching Notre Dame win was, it's a good distraction too. It makes you think about other things other than what's going on at your house or with the rest of the city or, friends and family. So, I don't mean to bring it back to something serious, but, maybe that was the motivation for it. It was like, hey, don't look over there. Look at this guy. Look at this loud mouth talking about how the Vikings are just going to sweep us under the rug. So I'm all for it. I love football. This is a big part of football. I think about this a lot, how many bad days at work have you had just because you've been in a bad mood or woke up on the wrong side of the bed? Like these guys got to go out and they got to put like maximum effort and show up physically and mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
I do this myself. I have all these secret enemies in my head. People on Twitter that I don't like, and like that Jordan thing. It's like I took that personally.
Yeah.
You were surprised by this. Jamal wasn't. I'm a very competitive person. Yeah. I don't show it, and I'm not like I'm not on team sports or anything like that. But I'm very competitive. So yeah. I do the same thing. I've got the Dan Campbell screenshot up version for myself.
So. You're laying in bed. Is it about on your ceiling?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you should see the office that Skinny's in. Like the camera's the other way. He's got like the whole wall. From Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and like all the different stuff, the smatterings on the wall. It's all the Twitter feuds that he's just holding on to.
I keep receipts, man. Inside.
Yeah, the safe way. It implodes.
It'll kill me one day. Yeah, for sure.
One day. But yeah, no, I think it's great. Why not? And so, okay, so we can quickly kind of actually preview this game. This matchup, obviously, this Rams team. I mean, dominated this team the first time. And I thought it was, you wrote an article on this, but it came out just this week that defensive coordinator Brian Flores said they were basically surprised by Puka Nacua playing, like hadn't prepped for him playing at all, weren't expecting him to play, and him playing was kind of the catalyst for the Rams' offensive domination. Now, whether that's true or not, I think it's certainly true. They were surprised, but whether they're just were that inept that adding one player like threw off their game plan that much, I mean, that's more on them than the Rams surprising them. But there won't be any surprises this game. So this offense and the lack of explosion that they've had over the previous, not including the backups last week, but the previous 3 weeks dating back until after the Buffalo game. That sentence made no sense. But after the Buffalo game, the 3 weeks succeeding those, this offense has really struggled. Do you think, does it concern you that now the Vikings know what they're getting into? They know how poor they played the first matchup, and they've seen how bad this offense has looked in 3 consecutive weeks. Does that concern you that this defense can really kind of have their way?
Well, a lot of things went right for the Rams in that first game, particularly on offense. Now, what Brian Flores and this Minnesota Vikings defense is really known for is their blitzing. They blitz at the highest rate in the NFL by a good margin, somewhere around 38%. And in that game, they blitzed 35%. So still right in that range, but they didn't get home that much. It was like 12% that they were able to get pressure on Stafford. Now, this is a game that Justin Dietich, I think, was playing left guard. This was before we knew that Bo Limmer was actually a good player. He was starting. And so, that definitely helped. And one of the things that McVay did to counteract that is he played a lot of 12 personnel. Some of the most he's ever played in his entire coaching career, somewhere up in the 40s. There's been years where they've played fewer snaps an entire year of 12 personnel than they did against the Vikings. Yeah. So they were able to really mitigate that pressure and shut it down. So, I said that there was one thing that I wanted to talk about in this preview in our last episode. And that's the running game. And we talk about the running game every week, but this is a way that they can really gash this team. Minnesota's good against the run. But this is where it starts and ends for the Rams offense. They have to be able to move the ball on the ground to open up things in the passing lanes, because if Stafford has to hold on to the ball for very long, the pressure is going to get there. And that's what they really mitigated last time. So I think, I don't think they're going to be able to do the same thing against the pressure. This is this was week 8. This is eons ago, in my head. So I think that, Tyler Higbee is going to be big in this game as well. In terms of being able to get the ball out quickly. This was a big Kyren Williams game in terms of passing game. He had a good day on the ground as well. But they were on the ground. They were able to pick up, 12-yard gains. Kyren Williams is like a 5-6 yard back. In this game, he was a 10-12 yard back. Yeah. They also they didn't have Blake Cashman, their inside linebacker, last time. He's going to be playing in this game. So, I think it's really going to come down to, can they move the ball on the ground, and can they get the ball out fast enough so that, Van Ginkel isn't in Stafford's grill constantly. Your guy. That's your guy. Yeah. Van Ginkel. He would have looked great in horns, man. Would have looked great in horns. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I won't reiterate or repeat what you said. The run game obviously is important. Everyone that listens to this knows I say that all the time. Run the damn ball. I just need to wear that shirt every time, because we know how great Kyren Williams is. But so I'll talk about something different. And Matthew Stafford, I'm curious what iteration, what version of Stafford we will get. Obviously, we believe he's still a great quarterback. He has, I mean, I don't care how mad people get in the comments. He has struggled this season at times, not the whole season, but there has been times this season when he has struggled. There has been not just times, but for most of the season where he basically has locked in on Cooper Kupp. You saw last week, and I don't want anyone to misinterpret this. I'm not saying Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Matthew Stafford, but you saw last week
Jimmy Garoppolo operated the system fairly well in terms of spreading the ball around. I mean, you look at 3 to DeMarcus, 5 to Higbee, 5 to Tutu, 3 to Tyler Johnson. Like it was the ball was going to who was open or who the play call was deemed to go. And for how great as Stafford is, and I've said it many times, but I'll say it again, over his career, he has keyed in on one receiver. We saw it with Cooper Kupp. Now we're seeing with Puka Nacua. We saw it with Calvin Johnson back in Detroit. And so I'm curious if the Vikings are able to neutralize that. Now, obviously, if you can't stop it, who cares? Like, who cares if he's keen on Puka Nacua? If they're dicing up and he goes for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, like, who cares? Like, I'm not saying, but if the Vikings are able to neutralize it, is he able to spread it around to other pieces? But also, I think why we haven't seen the explosive offense that we saw that last Super Bowl year with Stafford when they, if you remember, like he was, Puka Nacua obviously had his unreal season, but they were having those explosive plays, depending what you want to define it. Like a lot of people will say a 10-yard play is an explosive play, but I'm talking like the 30, 40, 50-yard bombs they were getting in that season. And we haven't seen that like very often at all this year, specifically at the back end of the season. So a lot of that is because when you're only going to one guy, and that guy's that's not his repertoire necessarily, as great as Puka Nacua is. But if you're spreading it around, the defense is never going to know where the ball is going. So eventually they can break one or get one of those deep shots because the defense is not expecting it. So that's why the run game is so important. And that's why I think if Stafford can really spread the ball around to keep the Vikings honest around, then this offense can have a banner day. And but those are kind of the big things I'm looking for. Let's turn to the defense, unless you had a comment on that.
Real quickly on that. So this was one of their biggest yak games of the year so far. The last time these two teams went at it, and it makes sense. If the pressure's coming, you're getting the ball out fast. Those receivers, the only way you're gonna make anything happen is yak. Now I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about Cooper Kupp again. He has the fewest yards of yak of his career. Now he's missed some games, but the previous fewest one was in the second season of his career in 2018, where he played half the season. He had more yak in that season than he does in this season.
Yeah.
Now
something's going on there.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about his downfall. I love that guy. Love watching him play. Like everything about him. But I will take the opportunity to talk about Jordan Whittington. So Cooper Kupp this year has 266 yards of yak. Jordan Whittington has 206 yards.
Wow.
So let's look at targets and catches. 67 catches for Cooper Kupp. For Jordan Whittington, 22.
Cool.
So
and only 60 less yards of yak.
Yeah. For 40 some odd, receptions. Now, talking about another receiver, Demarcus Robinson is not a yak guy.
No.
He's got a few. Let's see, what is he at for this year with yak? 76 yards.
Yeah.
On 31 receptions. So I would love, that's one of my preseason predictions that Jordan Whittington was going to elevate into that third receiver spot. I think this is the game to roll that out. He had a great game last week. Anytime he's been in there, he's had pretty good games, some really great games and some good games all mixed in there. So I think, whether that's taking Cooper Kupp out sometimes, taking Robinson out sometimes, and getting him some more touches and some more targets, I think that'll be huge for this game to keep moving the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let me real quick ask you your thoughts. Like, why do you think Kupp's yak is so much lower? Like, do you think it's just an athletic drop off from him in terms of speed? Do you think it's play calling and kind of route distribution of what he is actually getting, his plays called? I mean, I know we've seen in years past, like him running out of the slot. There's all of these outside routes, these quick kind of intermediate passes, get the ball in his hands and let him go in space. Do you think we're seeing a lot more of him kind of like sideline routes where basically he catches it and he's out of bounds right away? Like, what do you attribute, in your opinion, to his yak being so down this year?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I think, I don't think he has that kind of wiggle and slipperiness. That was kind of the definition of what made him really special as a receiver. I think he's lost a bit of that percentage of his ability to do that. But also, I think Sean McVay is trying to extend his career as long as possible because he can still make catches. He's great at the catch point. He can still get open. I don't think he has the same separation. But we've seen him have good games and big games this year post injury. So I think Kupp's moving into that role. A lot of those kind of, we're not seeing a lot of bubble screens going towards Cooper Kupp for good reason. We don't want him, with 3 or 4 defenders trying to take him down on every catch. So yeah, I mean, I think.
Do you have in front of you his yak in 21?
It was like 1,000 yards. It was 1,070 yards. That's including the postseason.
So part of it, I mean, also is just actual snaps. Like obviously he's missed some games, but I mean we've seen games where he's in the past, like he was every offensive play he was out there. If he was healthy, he was out there. Like they're having different personnel packages, I think, this year where he's not out as much. And just to give everyone like context or comparison. So in 21, that Triple Crown year, from the slot, 829 snaps, from wideout, 447 snaps. So I'm not a mathematician, but that's almost 1,300 total snaps. This season, from the slot, 401 snaps, wide receiver, 233 snaps. So 630, I mean, less than half the snaps. So, I mean, I think that's part of it too. And he missed obviously some time, but he missed week 3 to week 7. So 4 to 5 games, which is, is a good amount, but that 4 to 5 games typically would not equate to less than half the snap count. So obviously, even in the games he is playing, they are doing different personnel packages to have him out there. And whether that's to get other guys reps, whether that is more 12 personnel, like you're saying, and we're seeing them doing and having more tight ends out there. And obviously, in 21, he was the guy. Now it's very clear Puka Nacua is the guy. So anyway, none of this is harping on Cooper Kupp. It's just kind of piecing together why the production is what it is. Now, this could be an opportunity for a classic Cooper Kupp game. I said just, 15 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago when we started the segment, the Vikings were caught off guard that Puka Nacua played. They were not prepared for Puka Nacua. So, and I said the Rams don't have anything. There's no surprise here they can bring. Everyone's healthy. The one thing they could do, Skinny, is they've been building up this, not even building up, it's just been a fact that the Puka Nacua show has been the offense since that game. So maybe the element of surprise is like, Cooper Kupp still got it, baby. This is the Cooper Kupp game that we're going to pepper him and we're going to get that yak back and show the world that Cooper Kupp still got it. Maybe this is his game and that can be the element of surprise. That can be the Trojan horse, if you will, against these Norse Vikings.
What are what's Eastern Washington's mascot?
Pirates, I think. I think they're the Pirates.
Is that right? No. This is the pirate ship. I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
Well, I have to know. So while you're talking, I'll look it up.
Yeah, I was comparing him to Gronk in the last episode, and I think that's probably pretty good because I mean Gronk's last season did not look good. He didn't look healthy out there. This big guy lumbering around. But when push came to shove, I mean he was still Gronk. He was still Gronk, and Sean McVay looks at this guy and he says, "Cooper, you got 4 games in you. We're putting you to work, and we're going to roll out the old game plan."
Yeah, and you can coach for this next year. Like leave it all out there, and we'll make you coach next year if that's all you got. Which I'm not saying that he's got more than that, but Eastern Washington is the Eagles, and the mascot is Swoop. I was thinking Eastern Carolina. They're the Pirates.
Oh.
Yeah, the Eagles. Which that was my mascot in high school, the Eagles. So
mine was a Bearcat. I don't even really know what a Bearcat is.
I mean, yeah, I still don't know. Cincinnati is the Bearcats.
I think it's like a Bobcat. I don't know. But I don't think there's any Bobcats in Kearney, Nebraska.
I know. Well, it reminds me like when I was like my first ever time playing soccer, I was like 4 years old, and the coaches let us pick. I don't know how I remember this, but I'll always remember it because of the name. The coaches let us pick our team name, and we couldn't decide. I mean, this is a bunch of 4-year-olds. Half of us wanted King Cobras, half of us wanted the Bears. So we were just the King Cobra Bears was our mascot. And so I feel like that's what a Bearcat is. Just like like scientists couldn't decide. Whereas like, is this like of bear ordinance or is this of like the cat feline regime? Like, let's just call it a Bearcat. Leave it at that.
Yeah, it's like the man bear pig from South Park.
Yeah. Because I'm like, why? Like bears and cats are very different. Like, why have a Bearcat?
Yeah,
we have bobcats. Like, just call it a bobcat. Like, there are bobcats.
My alma mater, the University of Nebraska at Kearney, is the Lopers, and that is a shortened version of the Antelopes.
Okay, not just like eloping, like wedding vows.
Yeah, not bounding in the field. Lopers. Anyway,
Lopers. Okay, yeah. We were. I went to Long Beach State. Our mascot has changed. Apparently, Prospector Pete was offensive, so now we're the Sharks. We were the 49ers for years, and Prospector Pete was our mascot, and apparently, and
the baseball team is just that. They're the Dirtbags. So
the Dirtbags is just the baseball team.
Oh, yeah.
That's not offensive. Obviously, it's actually alluding to like it was an all dirt field, and the bags they run around. But
I love it.
Obviously, you can make the Dirtbag. It's I think that's the best mascot name in all of college sports. The Dirtbags, like it's fantastic, and the fact that it's just the baseball team. But yeah, Long Beach State now is the Sharks, which doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. So, all right, let's talk defense real quick. I know we're getting here. A lot to talk about today. Obviously, a lot going on this week. Again, thanks everyone for hanging out with us, and hopefully we can provide some relief for many out there or whatnot. And hopefully this game provides a lot. I can't wait. It's gonna be a great, fantastic game. So this defense, Skinny. I mean, let me just ask you this straight up. This offseason, we talked a lot, like the biggest question of this team was the defense. And we said, they invested heavily. It's the most expensive offense in football. The defense is one of the cheapest in football. The offense is going to be dominant. The defense needs to just be okay, and this team will be all right. And this has flipped as the season's gone. The offense has not been good. The defense has been pretty damn elite. I know they have not played some of these top-tier offenses, but they've been pretty damn good. Do you think this defense is actually legit? Or is it the offenses they're playing? Or just what's your thoughts on just this overall defense heading into these playoffs?
It's tough because if you look at some of the advanced metrics, your DVOAs, your EPA per plays, your success rates, they're nothing special. I don't want to. I'm always offending people on this apparently, but there's some special players on the defense.
Yeah,
and there's some guys that are just dudes that are filling up. I don't want to say filling up space, but they're they're a role player for now.
Yeah,
until they figure something else out. And even the dudes, and I'm talking about the defensive line, this is where this game is won and lost. This is going to be very much a trenches game. I talked about the pressure on Stafford, pressure on Darnold. That's how you turn him into a pumpkin. 22 pressures from the Detroit Lions last week. That's the most by far all year long. And we saw what the Vikings offense turned into under that kind of pressure. Now, the one thing that I wanted to talk about was the Vikings don't really run the ball that well. They're probably one of the worst running teams in the playoffs. So the Rams need to take advantage of that. The Rams defense needs to be able to stop the run and get lots of pressure on Sam Darnold. So there's Jared Verse. He's great. Braden Fisk and Kobie Turner are doing great things on the defensive line. So I like that aspect of it. But then you look at the other side of things. TJ Hawkinson, he's going to be back. He didn't play in the last game either. Yeah. That means you're looking at Omar Spates in coverage. You're looking at Christian Roseboom in coverage on them. You're looking at Jared Verse in coverage, which he's not terrible, all things considered, but you want Jared Verse rushing the passer, not out in coverage. So And it's Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Jalen Naylor.
Yeah.
And you know, we'll see. We'll see exactly how Akhello Witherspoon is holding up out there. You
Yeah.
know, I think he's done an admirable job. I think I think he's. I don't think I can't say he's not fully healthy, but like he's he was having trouble last year even keeping up with people. So I love Darius Williams, but he's not as big as Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So obviously, they need to contain that run, just stifled completely. Aaron Jones is a good back. He's good. He's a good back in the receiving game as well. But they're just not good in that aspect. So I think that's a huge key to this game is, that leaves only a few things you need to do. They're going to get some pressure on Darnold. They're probably going to be pretty good against the run. They weren't able to shut down Justin Jefferson last game. They were able to shut down Jordan Addison pretty well last game. But you add in that TJ Hawkinson element, and that's just another quality pair of hands out there that can pick up first downs and keep those chains moving and keep drives alive. So, that's where I'm at with the defense. What do you say?
Do you have in front of you, and if you don't, maybe you can find it while I'm talking, but the Rams, this season, their pressure rate and their blitz rate, because I know you're talking about blitz rate earlier with the Vikings. I don't know if that was just off your head, and if you can't find it, I know I put you on the spot, but because I agree with you. I think as much as the Rams try, like, you just don't have the resources in the back end to completely shut down all of the talent the Vikings can throw at you. Whether it's Aaron Jones out of the backfield in the past game, you just mentioned all of them. TJ Hawkinson, JJ, who's Jefferson might be the best receiver in football. Him and Jamar Chase and Puka Nacua, but and then obviously Jordan Addison as well. You just can't do it. So to me, this game comes down to pressure on Sam Darnold. And you mentioned it last week, how the Lions completely, they were the famous Sam Darnold quote back when he was with the Gents is, I'm seeing ghosts. They're making him see ghosts out there. And that's what the Rams got to do. Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, and company have to make him see ghosts. And obviously, if you can get pressure with 4, I mean, that's every defensive coordinator's dream, right? You don't got to send any extra. You can keep 8 or 7 back in coverage, and you can rush with 4. I mean, then this Rams will win this game handedly if they can do that. Similar to how the Lions did. I mean, the Lions dominated the Vikings on that last game of the season because of that very reason. But if you try to go tit for tat on the back end and you can't get pressure with 4 and you don't want to blitz and you're having linebackers try to cover TJ Hawkinson, then this is going to be a tough day at the office for the Rams. So to me, this comes down to what kind of pressure they can get on Darnold, which I think they can. I mean, Jared Verse is one of the, not just among rookies, among all players, one of the pressure leaders in the NFL. Braden Fisk from the interior is looking like Aaron Donald. Like, I know that's like blasphemy to say, but he is like playing like Aaron Donald in a way in terms of pressure rate. It's unbelievable. Kobie Turner, who should have been the defensive rookie of the year last year, is like the 3rd best player on the defensive line, and he's having a fantastic season. And then, oh, by the way, Byron Young has been fantastic as well. So the front 4 has been fantastic. So what kind of pressure they can bring, and if they can't get through this Vikings good offensive line, what kind of blitz packages does Chris Shula draw up? Because that is the game to me, is the pressure on Sam Darnold. Did you find that or no?
Yeah. So they are currently, and this has dropped off significantly since just a few weeks ago. The Rams get pressure on 21.4% of dropbacks. Just kind of eyeballing it. They don't have the actual number here, but definitely bottom half of the league, maybe 11th, 12th worst, something like that.
And that's pressure on every drop back?
Yeah, pressure on all
24%. Yeah.
21. And then they blitz at a low rate too. So they're at 23%. And again, probably about the same in terms of where they rank in the league. I always like to compare it to the competition that they're going up against. So it's, just looking at other playoff teams. The Chargers actually have a worse pressure rate, which is incredible because they have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. But
do they really? Wow.
Yeah, 19.8%. And how are they? I don't know if I believe these statistics because it's 18% for the Eagles.
Who's number one?
Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, where are the Broncos at? Because I know
They're number two.
They lead the NFL in sacks. So okay, they're 2.
Yeah,
and this is pressure rate, not just sacks. But
right.
So okay, no, yeah. So I was just curious because I'm in a lot of games, like the reason why, and every coach, I'm not going to speak for what coaches believe, but based on coaches I've talked to, the philosophy is like, obviously you have your defense drawn up, your scheme, your style that you want to play, but the reason why you don't blitz, because a lot of people are like, why don't you just blitz every play if it works? Like blitz every play, but there are quarterbacks that are better against blitz than others, whether that be escaping blitz with their legs, whether that be they can just read and dissect a defense quicker. Like Tom Brady. Tom Brady was great against the blitz. Like he was terrible against pressure. And that's what's so hard to kind of understand. Like if you pressured Brady, he would fold like a chair and usually would go down without even getting touched. But if you blitzed him and that blitz got picked up even for a second, he was able to dissect that and find or he could read it even before the blitz came and basically know, okay, they're sending an extra blitzer, like this guy's going to be open. As much as I love Sam Darnold, I know he's a Trojan. I want him to be in horns potentially, to be Matthew Stafford, etc. I think he's a really good quarterback. I would not say Sam Darnold is particularly great against the blitz, or for sure against pressure. So if I'm Chris Shula, you said what's their blitz rate? You said 21%, or that was a pressure rate?
23 and change. Yeah,
I'm blitzing 50%. I'm blitzing 50%. Sending at least one extra, whether that's a DB blitz, a safety blitz, or a linebacker blitz. People can call me crazy, but I'm blitzing 50% of the time against this Vikings offense. That is, to me, is the best shot you have slowing them down, because Sam Darnold, to me, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but just watching Sam Darnold's career, even dating back to USC, not great against the blitz.
It's funny you mention that, because I mean, by the eye test and by the numbers, he's not. I mean, that's we know this much is true, and I am trying to pull up the game here to see how much, because I feel like the Rams blitzed kind of a high percentage in their last.
Did.
Oh, just 8 dropbacks. Well, it's 27%, so a slight uptick, but okay. Yeah, no, I mean they were. Yeah. All right.
But if you remember in that game, I mean, the Vikings offense they were tit for tat with the Rams offense in the beginning. And then in the second half, the defense did clamp down and they were able to, do a little better. And obviously no TJ Hawkinson in that game, like you mentioned earlier.
Well, Derisaw went out in that game as well.
Derisaw went out, lost for the season. Yeah. And that was a big, big thing because then they were able to get pressure, which is 4. I mean, Jared Verse 8 after Derisaw went out. So I'm curious to see, but yeah, I would blitz. I mean, obviously you test it out early. If you can get pressure with 4, then obviously don't blitz. I mean, if Verse and Fisk are eating, then you're good. I mean, that's every coordinator's dream.
Yeah. Well, and that leaves space open. Then we're talking, Justin Jefferson's just wide open, or Jordan Addison or TJ Hawkinson's just wide open. So yeah, I mean, I would probably lean that way too, especially just because, you have 2 incredible speed rushers off the edges with Byron Young and Jared Verse. They can get home real quick. So I think I like that strategy. And, well, and I'll say this, like, I don't think Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison are particularly good yak guys, yards after the catch guys. They're more kind of like I'm getting open, get me the ball down the field, stretch me vertically, and I'll make them pay that way rather than the kind of eat your meat down at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. So 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could work out. That could work.
Yeah. Aaron Jones is like their yak guy, I guess, just in the screen game. So, all right. Well, unless you have anything else to add, let's score predictions. Who are you taking on this one? Rams move on?
I'm taking the Rams. I think, we talked about all the emotion behind this. I think, you've mentioned McVay's kind of being able to handle Kevin O'Connell. I like their chances against this running game. They're not going to be able to really gash them in that. So I don't think it's going to be 10 points. Remember there was that face mask in the end zone that picked up 2 extra points The line is 1. These Vikings are favored by 1. I wonder what the line
Did it
is.
move again, huh?
I wonder. Yeah, that was the last I saw it, but I don't know if since they've moved locations, if that's changed at all.
Let me check right now while you're talking. Thanks to our friends at betonline.ag. Forgot to mention that earlier. Betonline.ag, where the game starts. Tell them the guys the LAFB network sent you. I apologize, Skinny. I know I cut you off, but the line right now is 2.5. Vikings are 2.5-point favorites.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think the Rams still take this one. I think it's going to be super close. I think it's going to come right down to it. I think it's going to be 23-21.
Love it. Okay. 23. Yeah, I like the Rams too. I mean, everything we said earlier. This is for LA. This is for the city of LA, and then I think the Rams show up in a big way. I mean, I probably would have liked them anyway. Especially based on that last Vikings-Lions game, kind of exposed a little bit. I know they're a 14-win team. They're a great team. But I think this Rams team, is playing really good down the stretch. And then obviously with everything going on in LA, I just think they show up in a big way. I'll go a little bigger than that. I think they went a little bigger than that. I'll go 30-17.
Ooh, wow.
13-point win. Yeah.
Nice. I would love to see that.
I ride that emotion.
There's a world that I see this like going a lot like the Bills game actually. So I think it could be a higher scoring affair than I originally intended. And another thing I want to point out, because I've ragged on him for several weeks now, Matthew Stafford has plenty of playoff experience. Sam Darnold, not a lot. So
yeah,
you got to like that too.
Great
also,
point.
McVay, Kevin O'Connell playoff experience. That's an edge right there.
Yeah, great point. Very great point. So, totally agree. I mean, I can't wait. It's going to be such a great game. It's going to be, I think, obviously unfortunate that this is not happening in LA, but it's the right decision. But still will mean a lot for this city with everything going on. And, I think the Rams come out on top. So any final thoughts, Skinny, as we wrap this up?
Thank you for letting us, kind of talk about what's been going on around here. I know we get a little bit of crap for not getting into the game soon enough, talking too much personal life, too much weather, whatever, talking about how old we are. But we had to address it. We had to talk about it in some way because we're so close to it, and we are affected by it. We know so many people that are affected more dramatically than we've been affected by it. So appreciate that, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely. And thank you all for being here with us. Like we said, it's obviously we're thankful every single show, everyone that watches and supports, but this one even more so because of everything that everyone's going through, including us here. So, as I mentioned earlier, we'll have links in the description. My friends GoFundMe, if anyone wants to help that. We have our shirt that we made that all the proceeds will go to the LA Fire and the Pasadena Fire Departments if you want help with that. But for you listening or watching, if you or anyone needs extra help, please, we would love if you would, comment. You can shoot us a DM at Ryan Dyer at LAFB, at RL Anderson LAFB, the main account LAFB Network. We would love to microphone though, like just, shout those out. If anyone needs extra help, we can personally potentially help. I mean, we both, as we know, we live here in LA. We are in the fabric of this city. And so if there are people in our community that need help, if it's you personally, if it's family or friends that maybe you live out of state, but people that live here and that someone else is hurting and needs that, like we would love the opportunity to help, even if it's just exposing that and putting it out there from the reach that we have, or if it's something personally, physically we have. Like we said, our good friends, Brittany and Deontay are out there with many, many others on the concrete, on the asphalt, feet to the pavement, helping out. And so I know they would be willing to help, and we and many others we know can. So obviously I'm putting stuff in there that asking for help for others, but if you are one that needs help, please do not hesitate or feel embarrassed or anything. Like, just drop that in the comments, or if you want to keep it private, shoot us a DM on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, I think we're both on Instagram. You can search for me, Ryan Dyer. You can email. I'll put my email in the description, ryan.dyrud@lafbnetwork.com. So if you want to keep that private, just let us know. But we want to help. I mean, the whole reason we started this network was to build community. And that's what everyone needs the most right now is community. So, and I think a Rams win, Skinny, will certainly help this community. It's going to be an LA Super Bowl, baby. I'm feeling it. Chargers, Rams, LA Super Bowl. I mean, the Chargers didn't, I mean, this isn't a Charger show, but they should, I think they were to smoke the Texans. Texans look terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to pressure with that too. I think CJ Stroud can really mince it up, but not if Khalil Mack's taking him down.
Yeah, CJ Stroud, LA kid, Rancho Cucamonga. Shout out, but anyway, thank you all. Be safe, be well, hug your loved ones, enjoy the game. I'm sure we'll talk all weekend long on Twitter and socials. We'll see if we do a live on Monday. I don't know if we'll do a live, but we'll talk and figure that out. We'll let everyone know. But thank you all for hanging out with us. Be safe, be well. Go Rams. Talk to you guys all soon.